My name is Evelyn. I'm 70 years old. I spend most of my days knitting, listening to gospel music, and sitting by the window with a warm cup of tea. People see me and smile. They say, "You must have had a beautiful life," and I always smile back. But the truth is not so simple. This story is not one I ever planned to tell. For most of my life, I buried it so deep I could hardly admit it to myself. But I am telling it now, not for pity, not for sympathy, but for the girls out there who still feel trapped in silence. If this helps even one of them know they are not alone, it will have been worth it. I grew up in the 1960s, in a small house with 4 children and 2 parents who believed in rules, work, and appearances. My parents were respected in church. My father was strict, my mother was quiet, and no one ever spoke about feelings. I was the youngest, and I adored my older brother, Thomas. He was 8 years older than me, strong, popular, always with a group of friends. He was the golden child. My mother bragged about his grades. My father let him speak at the dinner table when no one else was allowed to. To me, he was my hero. He called me Little Star and bought me candy from the store with his pocket money. When he told me to sit beside him, I did. When he asked me to keep a secret, I promised. I was only 7 years old the first time he touched me. At first, I didn't understand. He said it was a game. He said, "This is what older brothers do with their favorite sisters. It's how you know I love you." When it happened again and again and again, I learned to stay quiet. I didn't want to make him angry. I didn't want to lose my brother. And deep down, I was afraid. I was afraid no one would believe me. And I was right. The days were normal. School, chores, church, pretending. But at night, I stopped sleeping. I'd lie awake, fully clothed under my blanket, listening for the sound of his footsteps. I could hear them. The creak of the hallway, the pause outside my door, the soft click of it opening. He always came at night. He would whisper in my ear, tell me I was special, and do things to me I didn't understand. I would cry quietly into my pillow, trying not to make a sound. Because once I did, and he slapped me and said if I told, he would kill my kitten. And I believed him. I was 9 the first time I asked for help. I told my mother I was having nightmares. She said to stop being dramatic and handed me a Bible to sleep with. I couldn't say more. I couldn't find the words. How do you explain something so shameful when you are still a child who doesn't know what shame even means? By the time I was 11, I had stopped talking altogether unless I had to. Teachers called me withdrawn. Church women said I was quiet and obedient. No one saw the truth. No one wanted to. No one. When I was 13, my body started changing. My hips widened, my chest developed, and I began to feel nauseous in the mornings. At first, I thought I had the flu. Then I started vomiting every day, feeling dizzy, exhausted. My mother grew irritated. "What's wrong with you lately?" she snapped. I didn't answer. One day she noticed my stomach looked swollen. She grabbed me by the wrist and marched me to the town doctor. She didn't ask. She just demanded answers. He asked me questions I didn't understand. He examined me. Then he turned to my mother and said the words that changed my life forever. "Your daughter is 5 months pregnant." I froze. My mother stared at me, her face drained of color. Then came the question. "Who did this to you?" I whispered, "Thomas." She slapped me so hard I couldn't see straight. "You ungrateful liar," she hissed. "How dare you accuse your brother?" I sobbed, begging her to believe me. But she didn't. She never would. That night, my father came home and beat me with his belt until I collapsed. He said I had shamed the family, that I had ruined Thomas's future, that I would be sent away and never spoken of again. Thomas? He stood in the corner, arms folded, watching. Not a word, not a single word. They told the neighbors I was a troubled girl, that I had gotten mixed up with a boy from another school, that I had gone wild. I was 13 years old. I had never even kissed anyone. I didn't know how babies were made. I had never been taught. I was a child, carrying a child, and nobody cared to ask how it happened. A week later, I was sent to a home run by nuns. They told me to pray. They told me to repent. They told me to forget. I gave birth alone in the middle of the night. I was screaming for my mother, even though I knew she wasn't coming. There was blood, so much blood, and pain like I had never imagined. When it was over, they wouldn't even let me see the baby. Best not to get attached, a nun said. I never knew if it was a boy or a girl. They took the child and placed them with an adoptive family. I never signed anything. I was never asked. My body had been used, then discarded, and my child taken like a secret that had to be buried. They told me to move on, but how do you move on from something you never had a chance to grieve? I was returned home at 14 like nothing had happened. No one spoke of the baby. No one looked me in the eye. Thomas was in college by then, living his perfect life. I never spoke of it again. Not when I left home at 17. Not when I worked long hours cleaning motels just to eat. Not when people asked why I didn't date. Not when the nightmares came and I'd wake up screaming. I wore my silence like armor. But silence doesn't protect you. It rots you from the inside out. I never had more children. I never married. I never even told a soul what happened. Until now. Because the truth is, I've spent most of my life waiting for someone to say, I believe you. And now, I believe me. I was abused. I was a child. I was not at fault. Thomas died 2 years ago. Everyone said what a good man he was. I didn't go to the funeral. I am 70 years old, and I've waited too long to say these words. If you are listening to this story, if you've ever felt like no one believed you, I want you to hear me loud and clear. You are not alone. You are not the shame. You are not the sin. You are the truth. What happened to me should never happen to another child. And yet it does, every day, all around the world. And it will keep happening if we keep choosing silence. I am not telling this story to be pitied. I am telling it so people understand what it means to carry pain in silence, what it means to scream without sound, what it means to be 13 years old, pregnant, and punished for telling the truth. If you've been through something similar, I see you. If no one believed you, I do. And if you're still afraid to speak, I understand. But I also know this: the truth has power. Even after all these years, my truth still matters. And so does yours.